You don't have to be male to be a legend of football, and we're here today to celebrate that fact. We're at the Arsenal Training Centre here at London Colney in Hertfordshire to talk to the Arsenal and England legend, Faye White. Faye, we're forever hearing about referees from Premier League managers and occasionally from players. A lot of it's fairly uncomplimentary. But I think this is about the first time that anybody's really tackled this issue with a star of the female game. And you've become synonymous with ladies football in England. So, players and referees, ladies style, how does it work?
Well, I think in the women's game it's no different. As a player, you expect them to, be honest and read the game well, and you expect a high level, whether they're male or female. For me, it made no difference if I had a male ref or a female ref when I was playing the game. You just want them to get the decisions right and most of the big calls make right. Can I remember any incidents in major games where I would holler and shout and abuse the ref? No, I don't think that really doesn't happen in the women's game.
Not at all?
No, you discuss and you might argue or you might put your point to the ref, but it's certainly not very as aggressive, I think, sometimes, and obviously you might every now and then the wrong word come out and they would talk to you about it and say that again, you'll be booked, kind of thing in the women's game, but certainly not with approaching the ref in an aggressive way or shouting at them. It was more very much, right, you're the ref, you control the game, but can I at least talk to you? I was very much the captain who wanted to at least have the ref talk to me and explain his reason, and if he did that or she did that, then it was quite, okay, fair point, as long as I can get my point across as well, rather than some of the times the refs that might actually know I'm not listening to you. If you had that little bit of communication, I think it helped. But overall, I can't remember any real incidents where I would want to shout at them. I mean, as a player, you're so caught up in the emotions anyway, and you always think it's your team that should be rewarded the decisions, or you have that biased view, I suppose. But
you use the term wrong words. How many wrong words are there in women's football? Is it as prevalent as in the men's game, do you reckon?
No, that's what I'm saying. I really don't. It's the odd swear word maybe that might have come out. Just because you get caught up in the emotion, which is bound to happen, I think, at times, but very much, it doesn't happen as much in the women's game. That doesn't mean we're not committed and we don't want, a good result, or don't want, the game to go our way, in the laws of the game. But I do think sometimes the passion, would take over players, and that, sometimes happens, but not as frequent as you see in the men's game. So
women's football is easier to referee then?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's about controlling the players that you have. We very much, would put our points across, and I certainly would as a captain. I didn't, I wanted, like I said, to maybe question why he's made that decision if I felt something went not the opposite way, and they didn't get that decision right. But I don't think it's any easier. It might be a slower paced game. Yeah, sure, we all know the women's game was not as quick as the men's, but certainly the commitment, the skill that's on show, the decisions that have to be made still have to be called right. Are they called right? I think majority, yeah. I think I've kind of experienced a very different, levels of the game. Obviously, over the 15 years that I played, the whole level of the game has improved, and then that includes the refereeing as well. Not only us as players have improved, but the refs that we had at the start, and also in different competitions. You might get a lower ref for a county cup game as you would for an FA Cup final game and things like that. But so I've experienced a lot when I was playing. But I think in general, the standard in the women's game, the type of refs that we were being given, gradually improved, and it is getting better. Recently, in the Women's FA Cup final, we had Martin Atkinson ref, and obviously that shows the profile, that a ref of his profile, is getting put on in a big profile women's game.
Who would you rather referee you? Taking ability out of it, would you rather it be a female referee or a male?
To me, I was before this interview thinking back, did I have any preference? Not really. I think the majority of the refs that I had in when I played were men, purely because we know women don't referee as many. There aren't as many female referees. That's improving, So yeah, I've had games where I think we've had a really dodgy referee, and that was a man, and it's probably more occasions because, like I said, there were more men refereeing the game when I first started, certainly. But as the WSL has been introduced, more females have been put onto the games as well. But for me, I didn't go onto the pitch thinking, oh, we've got a woman here, or we've got that man who was rubbish last time. It was more about, right, this is the game, and we've got to concentrate on our side of it as a player. And like I say, I would often have more contact in the game because I was the captain. But if the ref, to me, I found the best ones were the ones that could explain and were very authoritative in the way that they explained it. And then often you would go, okay, fair point, you've said your piece, and that, I think that's fine. You might have gone against me, or I might have given the tackle away, but you've explained why you've given it, and I can take that on board then.
The same comment is made from the male professional game repeatedly, and has been done on You Are the Ref, about that communication aspect. And do you feel that's vital to the game and the relationship between the players and the officials?
Yeah, I think so, because the more you communicate with people, no matter what your position is, the more then I think you can put your viewpoint across, and people can accept it more. Like I said, I've had some refs who've come in and gone, no, I'm not listening to you, go away from me, kind of thing, and you just don't feel then that you've got that rapport with them, or that you just start to second guess why they're giving decisions and things. Whereas I've had some refs that are male and female that have gone, no, I didn't see it, this is what I saw, get on with the game, and then, or some of that similar situation, and then you just go, okay, and you listen to it more, and you just feel that you have that opportunity as well. If a decision comes up in the game that you feel you want to put your point across, then you can. And again, if I always thought you have to do it in a way that you're going to get the ref on side. Sometimes as a player, if you shout and holler abuse at them, they're not going to listen to you. So for me as a captain, I would always try and talk to them in a way that I think they would respect me, and then also maybe listen and be a bit more lenient. You never know, but at the end of the day, ref makes their decisions for what they see in the game.
It's human nature, I suppose. It's par for the course for you to be refereed by a man, but not the other way around. Hence we have so few, or have had so few, female officials in the men's professional game. There's Wendy Toms, who's a trailblazer going back 10 years and more, and now we have Sian Massey literally flying the flag. Why is it there are so few? Obviously Amy Fern as well broke through. There are one or two, but only one or two.
I think it's that opportunity, isn't it? It's just like in the women's game, trying to be a player. Are those doors open for you? And also, do you have the ambition yourself to want to get to that level, the commitment that it takes, and also the belief in their own ability? I think you need that. But I assume that, like any level with in sport, the higher you go, and the more competition there is. But it's obvious that there aren't as many females as there are male. And so those ones that do break through or want to break through are less and less. And when the barriers are put in front of you, and sometimes the extra comments and things you have to take on board, or maybe the hurdles overcome to get there, it can put a lot of people off. But they've obviously done well to get where they are. I've often thought, sometimes I've had Sian Massey to be our ref. On occasions, and I thought, oh God, I don't think she's had a great game as a ref, on some occasions, but I've seen her do the line in the men's game and be assistant referee, and I thought it's a couple of decisions she did, when they analyse it from so many different angles now on TV, that she got some of them spot on, and that it was only made a point because she was a woman that it was being analysed that maybe that little bit more, but I think there's more work being done in that area, and over time I think maybe more will break through, but it also comes down to the want, I suppose, of them wanting to get to that level and feeling that they can and they're supported to do it.
Yes, you mentioned, I think the way you put it was the comments they have to face. And there have been some well-chronicled instances of outright abuse, actually, of female officials by people in the game, managers, etc. And yet I've always thought the reaction to that from the female side has been actually quite restrained and dignified. How do you honestly feel about it?
I think I think all refs, they get a quite a hard deal. It's a hard thing to be a referee. You're the only person in the middle that hasn't got the bias of either side. And even males, they get a lot of abuse as refs and as officiating, and we've seen in the press recently that they can't actually voice anything back, and sometimes on the pitch or even off the field in some situations. But I know, I think, I think maybe being in the women's game and having to maybe do a few things, trying to break through into the men's game, have done some things in the media that you kind of have to just realise that you've got to break down the barriers sometimes and do it in a way that you are keeping your dignity and doing it in the way that you feel is the right way to do it. And so for me, I wouldn't, when I was in the game, wouldn't really want to criticise people that are having that opinion for women being referees, really, because it's no better if I did.
No, but while ever there are so few in the game, they're going to stand out and they're going to be commented on for that. And we need to reach a stage, don't we, surely, where it doesn't matter about the gender, we simply comment on the way that they perform the job.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the ideal, isn't it? I think the men's game is changing so much anyway, with the number of women watching the game, the number of women working in different areas of sport, and certainly on the media side as well. And it will, I'm sure, get to a point where it will become second nature, really, that it's not so much of a standout. I don't think we'll get to the point where it's 50-50. That would be years and years away even, but I think, that's the ideal, is that it shouldn't really matter. It's as long as they're doing the job right, and I think that's what most people would feel. You
talked about the off-putting aspect. So would it be fair for me to think that there are many more female officials out there who are capable of moving on, even into the professional male game, but are just discouraged from doing so?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say definitely, because I'm not the person that's out there seeing the refs, but I do think that's a big thing, is that a lot of females might be more put off just because they've not been encouraged to do it, or they feel it's more of a battle to try. Just like for girls taking up the sport years ago, if I wasn't quite resilient and wanted to really get into the game and play football, I probably would have stopped it before I even got a chance to play for England. But that wasn't the case. I had a desire and a passion that I felt I enjoyed the game so much that I wanted to just play it and get as high as I could. And once I realised the options were there and the doors were open, then I knew what I could aim for. And I think that's just the same thing, really. The likes of Wendy Toms and Sian Massey that have opened the door and show people, it could happen. If I want to, get to that level, then that opportunity's there. And
how much does Faye White, England and Arsenal legend MBE, feel part of that ambassadorial responsibility, if you like, to women's football?
Yeah, of course I do. I've had so many good years in it, and the game's moving on so well, so quickly over the last few years, certainly as well. And I think it's going in the right direction, certainly as the sport itself. But I enjoyed the other side, the media side of it, and being able to do a bit of coaching. There's many more opportunities as an ex-player to be able to get into and to stay in the game. So certainly that role as ambassador, when I was a player, as captain, it was very much what I kind of found myself doing, almost not pushed into it, but willing to be pushed into it. So now I've stopped playing that game, I'm still quite happy to be involved and kind of be a spokesperson, but also do anything that, in areas of the game that I can improve and help, really.
You've done BBC and Sky commentating, you're actually full-time at Arsenal here, at London Colney, as Arsenal Ladies Marketing Officer. Scope to maybe do more coaching in the future?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, there's so many more opportunities within the women's game to have roles and jobs, and I think that will be the same for other players, that when they think about retiring, whether it's coaching or media or working for their clubs that they've played at, to help move them on to the next level. As the game continues to grow and gets a better profile, there will be more opportunities. But yeah, certainly I loved it. I've had so many years' enjoyment playing the game that it's good to be still in it and to see it improve and get better even now. It's nice to be part of that.
There's a lady manager of a club in France. Yeah,
there is indeed. Yeah, it just shows that that's the kind of things that are happening nowadays, and females are starting to get better equipped on the coaching side, as well as the playing, as well as the reffing.
And gaining more respect too.
I think so, yeah. I'd hope so. It's taken a long while, and I still do think we're a long way off of, getting to the level of the men's. And I certainly don't think the women's game is ready for kind of big salaries or anything like that. You certainly need to grow the fan base. You need to have that core support and those followers before, the players can start to earn super wages, or, that's just common sense, really. And I think
you were a professional for quite some time, though, weren't you? It was
yeah,
your job.
Yeah, it was my job, but I also worked around it. I wouldn't say I was a fully termed professional player. I had an England contract and also worked for Arsenal that allowed me and got paid for playing, but I had to do an outside job, which was work. I was fortunate that was working actually for Arsenal that allowed me to earn a decent enough income to have a mortgage and things like that as you get older. But nowadays the girls that are in England internationals are getting paid better salary for playing football. They're pretty much full time, and that's the top players, the England players, and the ones that are headlining for Man City or Liverpool, or those top girls that nowadays they're training every day, sometimes twice a day, and they can afford to do that and drive around in nice cars, some of them already. But no, I think it needs to stay at a level where we can build the support and the fans that are coming through the door as well, that and then make the game grow from there, really.
Excellent. Look forward to seeing plenty more of Faye White in football. Faye, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.